Rotary and to the different groups here. So. Hi, everyone. Shonda Craig, and I am here today with my daughter, my youngest of my four, Chloe Wilson. I have to actually reference her name tag because I'm always getting my kids' names mixed up. And she can attest to that. She is actually very interested in the Rotary Youth Exchange Program, which her older sister Carly participated in a few years ago. And so she is joining us today and was able to meet with the Youth Exchange Committee and Joni and Lynn and Christy and Chip. I don't even know if Chip's here, but anyway, I just wanted to bring her along so that she has some exposure to our meetings and what we do here. So welcome, Chloe.
Hi there, everybody. Can you say go Rockets? On behalf of Randy Lindquist and the Interact Committee, I'm really glad to introduce you to Carla Buchan, who's the new Interact advisor for the Rockets Interact Club we're hoping to make official this year. Carla teaches world history and English language arts at Reese Puffer High School. She and her husband are Reese Puffer grads. They have 3 children who've been in the system, one of whom is still there. The other 2 have graduated. And with teaching experience at Ravenna and Oak Ridge, plus 15 years in sales, she brings much experience to this role. Her passion includes getting students involved in government and their world and service to others. So we thank her for doing this, and we're excited that she's part of our family.
That's true. My guest today is my husband, John, and he doesn't need much of an introduction. I think most of you know him.
Okay, well, we're going to get into our program today. The Kaufman Institute Fall Religious Events. They return to us to honor, recognize, and educate all of us about the important fall holidays from around the world. So.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad to be with you. Thank you to the Muskegon Rotary for having us today. My name is Kyle Queers. I'm the Associate Director of the Kaufman Interfaith Institute at Grand Valley State University. The Kaufman Institute is a part of a rich history of interfaith dialogue in West Michigan that traces its roots back to Muskegon. In 1989, respected community leader Sylvia Kaufman initiated a Jewish-Christian dialogue as a part of the centennial celebration of the Jewish community's presence in Muskegon. Sylvia's vision and leadership eventually led to the establishment of the Sylvia and Richard Kaufman Interfaith Institute at Grand Valley State University in 2007. The community outreach established at the beginning continues to be the major focus of the Institute. In promoting interfaith understanding and mutual respect, the Kaufman Institute offers a broad range of programming, over 200 events and initiatives each year that seek to create a more inclusive and equitable West Michigan community for persons of diverse cultures and religious, spiritual, and secular identities. The spirit of the Kaufman Institute is represented in the cooperative programs held in the community to enlighten, inform, and promote that inclusivity. These events bring together diverse voices and worldviews and traditions to find common ground, foster interfaith cooperation, and elevate individual experiences and stories. Whether it's working with others in the community to host a healthy discussion about polarizing issues or organizing celebrations that welcome all and encourage listening through difference, the Institute has found great success carrying out its mission through these community collaborations. And in that spirit, we're excited to be with you all today as we talk about inclusion and equity in terms of holiday spaces in our respective organizations, businesses, and institutions. I am joined today by Fred Stella and Rabbi Michael Shattuck. Fred Stella is a native of Detroit who has made Grand Rapids his home for the past 40 years. He is a graduate of the University of Detroit, where he obtained his degree in communications and mass media. During his career, he has worked in radio, TV, theater, web-based media, advertising, and audiobooks. His interest in Hinduism began at age 15 when studying comparative religions. By the time he was in his mid-30s, he formally embraced the Dharma. Over the years, Fred has spent time expanding his knowledge with study and practice in various ashrams and temples in the US and in India. In 2009, the West Michigan Hindu Temple ordained him as Pracharak, or outreach minister. One of Fred's passions is interfaith dialogue and cooperation. For the past 20 years, he has served as president of the Interfaith Dialogue Association, which is now an affiliate organization of the Kaufman Interfaith Institute, housed at Grand Valley. In this capacity, he, among other things, hosts the program Common Threads, which airs over local NPR affiliate WGBU-FM. He is also a weekly contributor to the Grand Rapids Press column Ethics and Religion Talk, where he and fellow clerics answer questions on theology, morality, and personal issues. Fred, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Rabbi Michael Shattuck has been the rabbi at Temple Emmanuel since July 1st, 2000. He was ordained as a Reform rabbi by the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion in May 1994. Before moving to Grand Rapids, he served congregations in Orlando, Florida, and in Plantation, Florida. Rabbi Shattuck received his Doctor of Divinity diploma from Hebrew Union College in the spring of 2019 in recognition of his 25 years of work in the rabbinate. Rabbi Shattuck earned his bachelor's degree in economics from Connecticut College in 1987. Rabbi works in all areas of the rabbinate at Temple, has special affinity for working with children, teaching, and sharing his love for all Jewish life over West Michigan. Rabbi Shattuck will soon celebrate his 25th wedding anniversary to wife Susan, who works in information technology. Rabbi and Susan have one daughter, Shira. Shira is a rising junior at Case Western Reserve University studying chemical engineering. Rabbi and his family live in Cascade Township. Rabbi, welcome, and thank you both for being with us. So
Thank you for having me.
I would like to begin with a simple question, which, on a personal level, what is most significant or meaning to you personally within each of your traditions? And Fred, I would like to begin with you.
I would say the most meaningful element of the Hindu Dharma for me would be the freedom of thought. The fact that in Hinduism, I often refer to it as not a faith-based faith. Not that we don't take the virtue of faith seriously, but that what you believe is personal and no one's business. Other people can help you develop a faith or a conviction. But what is more important is practice and obviously leading a highly moral life. Everything above and beyond that is open to your interpretation of the scriptures and the teaching tradition of Hindu Dharma.
Wonderful, Fred. Thank you. Appreciate that. Rabbi Shattuck, to you, what in your Jewish identity is most significant or meaningful to you within the tradition?
I love the fact that in Judaism, there is always a place for personal growth, for reflection. The idea that our sacred texts, the Torah and the Greater Bible, as well as lots of Jewish wisdom literature, put us on a path to becoming better human beings, better individuals, as we learn from and study from these texts. The beauty of Judaism for me is that there are lots of diverse perspectives on how to tackle that path in life. And each week or each month or each year, we read from the sacred texts and hope to glean something of new value or some way to look at ourselves and reflect on where we're going in life and how we might in fact change that to a better place. Judaism for me is a tradition that is always allowing me to become a better version of myself, touched by and influenced by what I would call sacred literature and sacred traditions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rabbi. So certainly as we think about inclusion in the workplace or the learning place, there are a lot of different ways that we can approach this from a multi-faith lens. Today, we're gonna, certainly thinking of things like dietary preferences, spaces and time set aside for prayer and reflection. For the center of today's conversation is going to largely revolve around holiday considerations and all things that kind of fall under that umbrella, recognizing that especially evident in our school system are schedules that are set up around a sort of Christian normative schedule. So again, recognizing traditions sacred to me, such as Christmas or Easter, but as we want to be inclusive and mindful of the lived experiences of others, how do we integrate folks and their practices, their seasons, their occasions well into our space and create room for folks to practice accordingly. So again, returning to you both, and Rabbi, I'll start with you on this question. As a person of the Jewish tradition, is there a season, an occasion, or a holiday that is most important to you personally? What is that and why?
Well, for me and for many people in the Jewish community, we are quickly approaching what I call our most sacred season. For Jews, it is sometime in the early fall to end of perhaps September or beginning of October that is most resonant with Jews. In fact, just a couple days from now, we're beginning a month of preparation for this upcoming holiday season that we call the High Holy Day season. The High Holy Days really are the most significant days on our calendar. I have to smile. We have hundreds and hundreds of families who are members of our congregation, but sometimes we only see them a few times a year on these High Holy Days. And what makes these holy days significant and the preparation for them is these are the days that we do an intense amount of introspection and reflection. During these holy days, we celebrate our new year. We celebrate a day that calls upon us to ask for forgiveness from our sins over the past year. It doesn't mean that we can't ask for forgiveness throughout the year, but this one day that is called Yom Kippur, our Day of Atonement, is when we communally come together as a congregation and a Jewish world and reflect upon our behaviors, both individually and how we've acted as a people. The High Holiday season begins with our new year that is called Rosh Hashanah. A Rosh is a head, Shana is a year, so we say the head of the year. And we begin that holiday with what is, I think, the blowing of one of the oldest instruments in human history. That is simply the horn of a ram. We herald in the beginning of this period, this New Year period, by sounding that shofar. And we do so to wake people up, as it were, from their summer slumber. You know, summertime is a time that we see fewer people in attendance, and it's a time for us to recognize a new season, a new year has arrived, and hopefully that sound is a call to action, a call to become a better person, or at least to think about how that might come to be. That Rosh Hashanah day, that new year, is marked with sweet foods in the hopes that the year would be sweet for all of us. And 10 days later, we have this Day of Atonement. So for 10 days during this period, we are called upon to reflect, to consider, to seek out those that we have sinned against, to try to make amends. And it's a period really of reflection. And again, back to what I find particularly compelling about Judaism is we're always asked to assess who we are. How can we be better people? And for Jews in the world, these 10 days of repentance, bookmarked, if you will, by Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, are the days that we do so. So for our community, these are most important celebrations.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rabbi. Wonderful, wonderful description. Fred, we'll go to you. As a person of the Hindu tradition, what seasons, occasions, or holidays are most significant to you as an individual?
Well, the most important holiday on the Hindu calendar, and this is universal, I would say, if not 100% universal, 99% universal, and that would be Diwali. And that happens usually in early November, occasionally in late October. And it's an amalgamation of history, mythology, theology, and philosophy. There are multiple tales that make up Diwali. The most popular, I would say, would be the exile of the Prince Rama, along with his queen Sita, or princess at that point. He's exiled in the forest for 14 years. And Diwali means light, Deepa. Oftentimes it's called Deepavali as well, but that means oil lamp. And upon his return to the kingdom after this exile, millions of small lamps are lit on the hillside as they enter the kingdom, and he takes his rightful throne. But very similar to what Rabbi talked about, it is a call for us to invest more time in ourselves, in growing ourselves, in awakening that inner light, and yes, attempting to be a better person. Now, a lot of holidays are very geographical. That is to say, you might have some holidays in South India that are barely mentioned in North India, or holidays in Nepal that aren't terribly popular in India. And I would recommend for people who are working with people who self-identify as Hindu, just to have conversations and find out what might be a very important holiday for you, and act accordingly. We're working right now, I'm working on a team that is focused on schools, because that is our biggest challenge. Workplaces are not as much of a challenge for Hindus as our schools that are developing more and more of a Hindu population.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. And that transitions nicely into what I think will be our final question for our time together. And Fred, I'm going to stay with you on this, so feel welcome to say more about it. What are some best practices pertaining to holidays in terms of creating more inclusive spaces where Hindus may feel seen and valued as employees, as students, as community members?
Certainly. Well, I will fall back and perhaps expand a little bit on this idea of conversation, because, again, you may have North Indians working with you or going to your school. You may have South Indians, Nepalis, people from the Caribbean, and they might have different holidays. And conversations with my co-religionists indicate that they're not expecting to have 15 days off a year, but they are hoping that they will at least be recognized. And perhaps if people also celebrate Christmas in a workplace or Hanukkah in a workplace, to also find out, well, what can we do here, even if it's simply having sweets at work, but to acknowledge the presence of those people who contribute to the workplace as being valuable, and that their faith, which informs them to be the people who they are, is valuable as well. And certainly, aside from saying, well, what dates are important to you, be able to have them open up and say, well, this is our holiday. This is why we celebrate it, in the same way that Rabbi explained the High Holy Days and I just explained Diwali. Again, it makes people feel valued.
Thank you, Fred. And I don't think anybody would protest more sweets in the workplace. So it's a good example of how inclusion really does help everybody find a better space. Rabbi, to you, recognizing that the holiest season for the Jewish community is quick upon us here, best practices for creating inclusive spaces where those in the Jewish community feel seen and valued as employees, students, community members.
I'm going to, continue, I think, what Fred has been saying, and add that one of the things that folks in the Jewish community sometimes deal with are workplaces or schools that really have no knowledge of Jewish tradition. So they'll open their calendar and they'll see these words, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and they'll really have no idea what they may or may not be. And schools or workplaces might choose to hold significant meetings or curriculum night or test days or gatherings of significance on these days, and it puts Jewish students in a very challenging situation, because I've heard over the years that children who are involved in athletics are told, if you don't come to this game or this practice on this day, you can't play in the upcoming game or what have you. You're somehow penalized for the observance of your faith. Or students have told me over the years, I'm in this class and the biggest test of the week happens to be on the most sacred day of the Jewish year, and teachers aren't always amenable to giving a makeup test or working with students. So I think the way to really honor and respect traditions that might be different than your own is to understand that there are traditions different than your own, and as best you can to make some kind of accommodation and not schedule the biggest evening of the year on the first night of Passover in the spring for Jews, or as I said, some major back to school fall event on what is the holiest day on the Jewish calendar. Because in the end, I love living in West Michigan, which is a community, a place where people of faith really express their identities in really wonderful ways. And we have to remember, as Fred says, there are people of different traditions that we need to know and learn from. And I think workplaces and schools could do maybe a little bit better job acknowledging the diversity and doing something to accommodate that. And from a Jewish perspective, there is much, much more to Jewish life than simply the observance of Hanukkah, which happens to fall, somewhere along the timeline near Christmas. And that's one of the things that I think from a Jewish perspective, people forget. Jews have a full calendar of observances and celebrations and events during their year. And it does happen that one does fall near Christmas, but there are far more. And again, in this case, the high holy days are far more significant to Jews than the holiday that happens to fall in December, so often aligned near Christmas.
Well, thank you both for your time. I would just say, to Michael's point of accommodation, I would encourage you in your respective institutions to actually put that into policy. Have a procedure by which folks can pursue those accommodations, can make you aware of those occasions when they arise. For resources on what that can look like, you can visit our website, interfaithunderstanding.org, under our resources tab. You will also find there a religious holiday calendar. It is our multi-faith calendar, which is exhaustive in terms of the occasions that it lists there with a little information. So you can see perhaps what's coming up for folks in your orbit. Again, really appreciate your time and attention to this. And to Michael and Fred, thank you for being with us.
Okay. So are they available for questions? Okay. So if there are questions, we'll field it from here so that all of Rotary on Zoom or in person. I'll repeat it. Yep. Yep. Now that we got that all figured out. Any questions? Okay, you can do it there, but I have to repeat it. Yeah. We're coming, here we come. And then you on Zoom, I think, Kim, you're gonna pick up any of those questions or something? No?
We talk about the schools, we talk about the community understanding. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me? Thank you. As a long-standing member of the healthcare system in various capacities, I was very concerned when I entered education about the lack of knowledge that students had about the different cultures and the different religions and how that impacted illness, death, and dying. So we developed a cultural diversity class at Muskegon Community College for our students. I am concerned that nursing education as a whole perhaps doesn't embrace that. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about, in particular, family reactions, family interaction with a patient in the hospital. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, thank you. That's an excellent question. And I apologize. I am getting feedback on my end. So if I sound like I'm keeping my answer brief, it's because I'm hearing myself as I answer you. So over the past 2 or 3 years, Kaufman has really done a lot of work with the healthcare community to address this particular issue. Now, we began really focusing on the hospice and palliative care community. And so we have done a number of community spaces focusing on advanced care directives and priorities for end of life, and walking alongside of from a diversity of worldviews and cultural backgrounds appropriately as care providers, or those that are offering counsel and care to families making those decisions. That has since broadened out to include those in residency programs, nurses, doctors, as well as those here at Grand Valley State University that are in the healthcare studies program, our health programs broadly. So I'll simply say that I echo that concern, and I am working with Fred Stella, whom you just saw from the West Michigan Hindu Temple, to put together a speakers bureau of medical professionals who themselves identify across different religious, spiritual, or secular traditions that can speak to some of the medical nuances that arise when dealing with, again, different religious or cultural backgrounds. I'll also just say briefly that what you heard Fred say there is also very true for healthcare spaces, in that it really does revolve around being present to the individual. A large part of my training is geared around empathy and listening skills, and focusing on the multifaceted and multi-layered identities of the patient who is in front of you. So just because you know that the patient is Jewish, just because you might know that the patient might be Muslim, does not mean that they are the same or have the same preferences or life values as the last Jew or Muslim or Hindu or Baha'i that came through your treatment facility, your office, or your room.
Good point. We appreciate that. And so much appreciate Kaufman Institute, everything you do. It fits right into Rotary values. And thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Fred. And we for sure will have you back again. So enjoy this warm thank you from Rotary.
Yeah, and thank you to all of you. And I'll just say, if you would like one of those specific trainings, if there's a specific community or tradition that you would like to learn more about in terms of how it intersects with your spaces or your institutions, feel welcome to reach out. Our website is interfaithunderstanding.org. We'd be happy to connect and help with the learning.
Okay, did everyone get that website? Okay, I didn't. Could you say it?
Yep, it's interfaithunderstanding.org.
Understanding.org. Thank you. I for sure am going to follow up. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. That was really good. Yeah, I don't know. Who is it? Chris and her team are doing the programs. Wow, knocking them out of the park. Yeah, out of the park. Yeah. Okay, John Wahlberg has a birthday August 21st. Judy Hayner, haven't seen her, August 24th. And Amy Seymour is on the 25th. So I'm not singing happy birthday, but I wish them a happy birthday. I'm not sure what we do now, but I'm not singing, so. Oh. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Kathy. All right. So we're going to have a member spotlight. This one is Bruce Spillman, and it's a 2-minute video.
Hi, I'm Bruce Spillman. I joined Rotary in, I believe, 2004, 2005. And it was at the behest of Daryl Sickling, who, those of you that know him, he was brought in to be the interim CEO at the Muskegon Y. I was the operations guy, and we kind of split things up. So he said, you join Rotary, I will be out of town for a few days a week. And it was great advice. I grew up in Muskegon. I graduated from Muskegon High School, not under the direct tutelage of Mike Vogus, but he was there. He's one of the shining faculty at that time. He was a bit younger then, as we all were. And so I have Muskegon Big Red roots. I'm talking to you from Camp Pendaluan, who also has a lot of roots, and that's what brought me back to Muskegon. When I started with the Y, it was as an interim director. And so that was when Daryl and the board said, can you stay here for just a year to preserve the asset of Camp Pendaluan? They weren't sure what, there's a lot of financial troubles then. And he said, can you stick around for a while just to make sure that we have something marketable if we have to sell it? And so that was my assignment, and I never left. Well, if there's anything I'm passionate about, it's building a healthy future for Muskegon. And that's the mantra that we developed at the Muskegon Y. And it was because and one of the reasons I like my job so much is we have the variety of things that we are involved in. So it all has to do with building, as opposed to just fitness on a typical Y. I was able to provide the vision of building a healthy future for all of Muskegon. And Rotary has supported that.
Great. Well, Bruce certainly has taken on a number of challenges here in our community, and we appreciate your work for that, Bruce. And when you see him, give him a shout out. Okay, it's my time now to do some announcements on behalf of all of you. So if I get it wrong, wave at me, do something. Public health, Kathy Moore had something else she had to do. I'll give you the short version. Our numbers are okay, not great. We are concerned about the Delta variant. And so truly the recommendation is mask up, stay the social distancing, and certainly if you support the vaccine, then vaccination. But you'll hear, and I heard some talking about what is this now? And do we hug? Do we not hug? I got to tell you, it's a challenge for us huggers. But really, we're in I call it a yellow zone, which is caution, 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 so that we don't get into the red zone. I don't have, Kathy left her wonderful dashboard of data on the back table. So if you want to dive down into any of the details, that's available for you on Zoom. Then going to public health website is always the best source for that. The Delta here, 6 people at the table. We already saw that. So that's COVID, still here. Started when I was president, hasn't gone anywhere. So also Lisa Metzdorf, as we try to return to some kind of normal in Rotary, I'm quoting her. This, I don't even know what normal in Rotary is. The Membership Council for Rotary is developing a mentor program and reestablishing the Retention and Engagement Committee. So it really is a shout out to any of you who are interested now more than ever retaining and engaging membership in this new normal world that we live in is absolutely paramount. So if you would like to raise your hand and be a part of that, then please contact Lisa Metzdorf. And Chris, call you again. You're sort of the star today. It's a whole weekend of parties in the park, or PIP, as it's known in email language. And the parties in the park is this Friday, tomorrow, this Friday, from 5 to 9, and on Saturday from 3 to 9. And guess what? Rotarians everywhere and all your friends, we need volunteers. It looks like Friday night is a little bit better than Saturday. Saturday could use some help. The things people don't want to do is handle the money, sell the tickets, or sit somewhere. The beer, that seems to go first. So I don't know why. 2 nights, multiple bands, great fun, perfect weather. It's easy. Did it from bed last night. You can sign up and any of those shifts. Go to the link that was sent out. I think Lori sent out the link, and please, anyone you know, friends and family. Let's see, Norton Shores, also this weekend, Arts and Drafts Festival is also on the 21st, and that's at Ross Park. There's a lot of Norton Shores things. We got givvies on the table. They're like everywhere, Norton Shores. But it starts at 8 a.m. on Saturday with a 5K run and goes all day with the arts and crafts, and then the arts and drafts really come later, which is goes all the way till 11:30 at night. So you can make a whole day of it with you and your family, if that makes sense. So please enjoy the weekend. It looks like there's plenty to do. Shout out to Christy Pollock, because she didn't pay any attention there a minute ago, who just received or has a new position. You remember when Christy came sort of as a guest and spoke Japanese, one of those. And from what I hear, has received or accepted a position at Grand Valley teaching Japanese. So I think we're going to see a lot more of you, right? Yeah, thanks, Christy. And then I'm trying to be John Noling, so here you go. Imagine John here giving the announcement. So those returnables, those pop cans, soda cans, as we say out west, and this summer and fall really support our Interact Club. There may be as many as 6 Interact clubs looking for fundraising ideas for their projects. That's excellent news. 6 Interact clubs. Contact Blake Kramer. Hi, Blake, if you're on. And John Noling for any drop off or pickup. They really do just make it easy peasy. And as a note, over the last 2 years, over $4,000 in returnables were shared with the Interact Club. So please drink your sodas and et cetera, and then pass it on. The other way, this is really for Christine Robert. United Way Day of Caring is coming up Friday, September 10th. And there's a variety of service projects that are planned. Really looking for interactors, rotaractors, are volunteering half day or even a full day. If any of you as well would like to volunteer, again, John Noling is a contact person, but Christine Robert certainly knows all the details and is happy for your help. So that really is what's one of many things that's fabulous about Rotary, is that we really do volunteer. We give back to this community. So there's lots of opportunities this weekend and moving forward. So thank you for that. Let's see, did I miss anything? What's that? That's a good question. Oh, 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 okay, that was a statement. Okay, there is a rewind meeting tonight. Yes. Across from the 13th Amendment. Hey, all right, one of those amendments, First Amendment. Turn left at the Second Amendment and you're there, right? Okay, I'm just repeating what someone else is saying, I'm not gonna say. Find your way there, please. Okay, any other announcements I missed? No? I know raffles next. I know, I always miss it. This one I actually remembered. We are doing the raffle and that would be, there's Ed. Hi, Ed. How are you? And Jane is picking their lucky number. $10. 220, 220. And there wasn't a who was it? Jeff? Did you win? Oh. Oh, great. Now we're going towards the big money or the little money? Big money. Here we go. Drum rolls happening. $20, big money. Big money. And the winner is 210. Nancy Crandall is reaching in for the $5. No holler. 274. 27. Oh, see, Jeff, I knew you were a winner. Jeff Lewis. As he's collecting his money, I did just thank you, Annette Jack, for that. I did not know, but Roger Morgenstern's wife, Michelle, passed away. So I know many of you know Michelle, and certainly we all know Doug. So please keep them and family in your prayers and thoughts. Okay. Okay, this is probably the best news yet. I'm out of here after today and Jason's back. Next week, he wanted to make sure you knew he just was gone a little bit. Our program next week is Susan Evans and the Alzheimer's Association. Which I guess all of us know what Alzheimer's is. So if you will please join me and I'll rise and we will conclude our program with the four-way test. Okay. Looks like we're ready here in the room. So of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Oop. Thank you. We're adjourned. Hey, Jackie.